And we're back. Michael Stevens is still in Alaska, I think. So Matt's filling in here. I think he's going to start liking this, aren't you?
Matt Squared.
Yeah,
we're going to call that.
Yeah. Matt Rutledge, Matt Mormon. Yep. So just in case you don't know Matt, we met through Dry Ice through Scott. You know, he was doing, cleaning cars after his career. And so he's here helping me on the business side of things, marketing and I guess now it's pretty much everything, right? So he's consulting.
I'm dabbling. I'm helping dabble in a little bit of everything. I think that's probably the right way.
Helping fill the blanks,
including you got me doing podcast work.
Right. Shoot. Yeah. Everybody else is too busy. We got them working too hard.
That's right.
So anyway, I'm here. We're deep into the Amir giveaway. How's the Amir giveaway doing? Have you looked at any of the numbers? I haven't.
It's doing pretty good. We kind of had a little different launch this time because you did a video launch on Sunday through YouTube, and then our emails went out on Monday, Tuesday. So the launch has been a little bit different profile from like GT3 RS.
I think it's probably more successful though that way.
It's more spread out.
Yeah.
So it's I would say it's a little more long. The initial peak isn't quite as tall, but it's over more days. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, so the concept of the giveaway for me is to be able to buy a car, over modify it, get to experience it, enjoy it, do a car differently than maybe I would buy, for myself to keep forever. Because we all do this. You buy a car, I'm going to keep this one forever, right? And so the giveaway gives me the ability, the 1M, the M5, the F80 or the F10 M5, the 997 RS. Yeah. In fact, and it's helped me a lot. Like, I really like the Amira. I feel complete with it. Same thing with the 997 RS. Like, you have a 997 RS, and I would want it at 180 grand,
right?
But not 400, right? And so that's
and you want because you want a 2,000-mile car with that's perfect,
right? And so it sort of got that off the deck for me, right? So I don't have to now sit on it. Then you don't want to drive it because it's got a $500,000 car, and so you. Yeah, but if I was 180 grand into it, like you bought it originally, right?
Yeah, that's right. So I put it on the track. I'm like, let's send this thing. Why not?
But even still,
but I'm still careful with it.
Yeah, you think about it.
Definitely careful.
Yeah. So that's something that the giveaways really help me do, and then it like Lotus is a whole new audience. It's a whole new. Now I have a great relationship with Greg from Greg's Performance Parts, and
there were some really cool accessories and parts. I mean, you got a bunch of videos coming, right? Because you were down there all week putting parts on the car.
Yep. So we got all the parts on. So I did the splitter. Mike did it while I videoed it, right? So we did the front splitter, the front little overlay thingy, so that all the carbon on the front looks sweet. We did the short shifter. It's pretty remarkable. It's this little thing, and it
because it was like that tall, right?
It's
changes the ratio.
At the very end of the cable where the pivot point, so it changes the pivot point, and so you can gain 45 to 60% reduction from the pivot point. It's like it almost doesn't make engineering sense in my brain,
right?
To where you just change the pivot point slightly. It's this tiny little piece, like an inch long,
right? And
it's all the way at the end because the transmission's down.
It's on the transmission, right?
Correct. Yeah. It's on the top of the transmission, and it reduced the throw by 60%.
Right.
We did the Eventuri intake. We did the GRP stainless exhaust, the GRP third cat delete, the GRP carbon fiber rear splitter. We did the Nitron suspension, the titanium studs. We just mounted and balanced the wheels, the new signature wheels. I'm going to align it on Monday. Tuesday, we're going to decon and start polishing it. We'll have it polished and coated by the end of the week. The videos will come out over the course of the next month.
Right.
But I've got the car, pretty close to being done. I'll have Rob come up and do the tint, and then I got to decide if I'm doing PPF or not. I always you're in the same boat as me. I don't like
PPF. I'm not a PPF guy.
I prefer not to have it too.
Yeah, I just don't like to touch it.
Yeah. And some people are like, "Oh, you're not going to do the PPF on the blah blah blah." I said, "Well, I mean, if I was keeping the Amir for me, I wouldn't PPF it."
And the problem I have is I've had PPF. I put PPF on my RS, right? I bought this E90 M3 that had PPF on it from new.
Yep.
It was a little yellow, so I peeled it off. Well, it took paint off the front bumper.
Yep.
So now I got here. Someone spent a bunch of money for PPF to protect the front bumper
from getting repainted,
and I got to repaint it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what did we solve? In my RS, same thing. It ripped all the silver trim off of it.
Now, PPF is getting much, much better.
True.
Like on the Amir, I mean, you can't even tell it's there. And so as it improves.
Well, the other thing, too, is like the PPF where you can scratch it or swirl it, put it in the sun, and it sort of self-heals. Like if you have a condition where you're in that sort of environment, then I guess it makes sense, right?
Yeah. So I'm not opposed to. I was opposed to it for a long time, but I like on my mountain car, I want it PPF,
right?
Because you're riding bumper to bumper.
And I think like a track car. I mean, I think if you know you're going to track something, it totally makes a lot of sense.
Yep. You can spend $5, $6, $7 having it PPF'd, and you'll probably retain that value when you lie to everybody that you say.
Yeah, I'm just not one of these guys that wraps. Any car that comes into the garage gets fully wrapped front to back. I'm just not that way. I can't do that.
Yep. So the Amir's doing great. And
Great.
It's gonna be, I think you guys are gonna like how it looks when it's all done. It's gonna look sick.
Yeah, the black and white with the red interior looks great.
Now the red one isn't there clouding my judgment. The white is the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Well, that was your original order, right?
Correct. That was for me.
Yep.
The plan was the white one would be for me.
Right.
Wait, no, was it the red? They were both for me.
Oh.
That's the whole thing. That's where the giveaway that I do is different. I'm doing it for me.
Right.
As if it were mine, I'm going to keep it forever.
Yep.
That's
and then someone gets the benefit from that, right?
Right. Well, it's the same thing with selling the car to Kurt. That video, I think will be up today or tomorrow, where Kurt comes and picks up the car.
Yeah.
And he's like thanking me while he's handing me a $110,000 check, thanking me for, which is cool, because he's like, man, I can't do all this stuff. You did it, and I just gave it to him for free,
right?
just so I could get out from underneath my poor decision. So yeah, it was good.
So when do you start on the GT4 RS? Because I know that's going to be a question from everybody.
So I'm going to finish the Amira next week. So Mike and I will finish the series of doing the alignment. So we're going to do the alignment with a CSM system in my garage, precision alignment.
Right.
So we'll get the ride height set, get it aligned. Then we'll polish, coat the car, treat the interior. So do all that. So that'll take us next week to do. Then the week after that, we're ripping out all the cabinets. So we're pulling out all the pro slats and making the transplant over to Rousseau. That'll probably take a couple of weeks.
Right.
And then I'll start the
July.
But I'm gonna introduce the GT4 RS. So I haven't even made an introduction video.
Right.
I'm gonna leverage the GT4 RS to try to sell some more entries.
Have you done a wash and talk on that car?
I haven't even washed it yet. It's just sitting there.
Wow.
It's been came from off the truck and has been sitting there ever since.
Right.
So but I'm doing that on purpose. Just chilling, let it sit, and I'll get to it when I get to it.
Right.
It wasn't supposed to be here till August anyway, and that's probably when I'm going to get on it is August.
And then you, I think you threw a steak on the grill out back this week, right?
So good. I'm back on carnivore.
Are you? Are you really back?
100%. So I'm simultaneously sick and sick.
Right.
Because as I detox off of carbs and junk, I'm I've got zero energy. I'm just sitting here sweating as we're talking.
So does that mean we're going to Santos tomorrow?
No, I'm not.
Oh, come on.
I'm not doing it.
Seriously?
No way.
Wow.
Zero chance. Yeah.
I guess you got to get in a little better shape to keep up with me out there. Right?
Something. I'm freaking hurting, man.
All right.
We'll see how I feel. But today I woke up, thought I was going to die.
All right. So I put some questions on Facebook, or I put up on Facebook for the folks that are not here live, because the live guys get to dominate a lot of the questions.
Yep. Okay.
So we didn't have I thought we'd have a little more response on Facebook, but we do have some good questions. So I'm going to go through some of those, and then we'll get into the the YouTube comments. So everybody on YouTube with your comments, stay calm. We're just not there yet. So Kurt Pullman has a couple questions. Built Hammer, when do we expect more products from Built Hammer? Do you have a plan for more?
I know that we had the new glass polish,
right,
which kind of acts as a coating as well, or kind of acts like a coating in a polish form. That was shipped, so my samples, and then it got hung up in customs, and so it's harder to get stuff here than you think.
Right.
And then the remaining Built Hammer line, I don't know if the container's left yet, but
yeah, I know they've been talking about it.
Right.
But are there products that you've already validated from that we plan to carry, or?
I would like to carry the clay bars,
okay,
and I still have to do some more work with like Surfex as a all-purpose cleaner, which is a great product.
Right.
Carousel for iron removal. Right. I don't love the auto wheel. I know a lot of people do like the wheel cleaner. It's super economical and works really well. I just, brake buster for me is hard to beat, or just use regular soap on the door wheels. But the thing I'm most excited about is that glass polish, because it just struggle so much with glass coatings. All these people make these like these huge claims about this glass coating or that, and I use them all, and they're all terrible. I'm like, maybe if you have low expectations.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. Let's see here. Still from Kurt. Towel solution, custom towels. You were at TRC. That's been a while.
We shelved that
months?
For now. Yeah.
Oh,
so we
okay.
shelved it until we can get our products team all fixed.
Okay. So that's on pause.
Correct.
But
yes.
we still have great towel selection.
Sure.
Right.
The main 4.0 was mainly just color changes and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay. It says a while back, Matt mentioned doing a deep dive into home security cameras using Ubiquiti. Do you plan to do any content on that, or did you get down that rat hole?
Well, I don't know that I would call it a deep dive, but the cool thing about Ubiquiti, it's so simple. You have the right proper switch, which I didn't have when I did my system. My system, I had bought I didn't think about the amount of total power available via PoE or PoE plus, power over Ethernet. And so I bought their basic 16-port switch, and I guess it's their 16 Lite or something like that, and it only has 45 watts of available power. So just my 4 access points were overdrawing the power on it. So then I bought the 16-port Pro switch, which has 2.5 gigabit connection, and it has gigabit connections across the whole thing, but it has, I think it's like 160 watts total power or something like that, so I could run cameras off of it.
Right.
I do have the doorbell cam, and I did the cloud gateway. What did I have? I have like it's like the little gateway white box. I forget which one I have, but it's not like the Pros, one of the UDP Pros, the Dream Machine Pros. But it's a little white box, and the little white box is, I think it's the Cloud Gateway Max, and it has like a little solid-state drive on it. So if I was going to do cameras, I would need to get one of their camera network,
like
devices.
A DVR or a video.
It's basically what
they call them a DVR in the security world, right?
They have some name, which is like network assisted drive or something like that. Okay. And so you get one of those, and then you can do whatever cameras you want. And I haven't done it because the doorbell cam kind of covers the front of the house.
Right.
And I live in like utopia.
Yeah, you just leave your door open. You leave your garage door open. Right. The dog's on the driveway.
Right.
I mean, there's really
no one's. Yeah. But if I were doing it, I would buy a couple of the AI cams and a couple of the regular cams, the 4K cams, and you just plug it in. It just works.
Right.
And through Unified Protect, it's pretty sweet.
Right.
So you used to have to know how to provision stuff and assign an IP address. It does it all automatically now. But that's what I would do. But it wouldn't be a deep dive. It would be a amateur purchaser.
It would be a vlog post, right?
Right. But it's not on the docket of my list of projects. But I'm sure, me. One day I wake up, I'm like, I got to get this done.
Right. So Josh mentioned the new Ryobi pressure washer. I did see a couple comments on that. I don't think you plan to do any new low-end pressure washer testing, right?
I don't really care.
Maybe if we get a few more.
Everybody's still looking for the unicorn,
right.
And I guarantee you, I saw one look at it. I'm like, this isn't going to be as good as the ones that already exist. So what's the point?
Right. Let's see here. Leader Max, that's coming.
Yep. They're waiting. So they're making the labels. We've already sent back what our projections were, how much we need them to make. And then when it's here, I'll be sure to we'll launch a pre-order, and then you'll kind of know roughly when it's coming. So in the next couple of months, we're thinking August.
Right. So David asked. He said he pulled his G80 into the garage, it kind of hung up, tiles moved around. He's now getting some crinkling noise. Does he need to reset, or what do you think?
So it's Swiss tracks?
Yeah, Swiss tracks. Sorry. Yeah.
If you get kind of crunchy noise, it's usually because you got a bunch of sand underneath the tiles.
Yeah. So that's what he was asking. Did the dirt get under the tile?
Right. Then it's time. So if he shifted the floor, he probably shifted up onto the sand and dirt and debris, where before it was sitting flat on the concrete and the dirt was in.
Wasn't making any noise.
Right, so that crunching is usually because you got too much dirt, and that's a good telltale sign. All right, let me pull this stuff out, and let me, clean the floor, and then put it back in.
Right.
So that, but generally, even if you buckled and popped up a couple of tiles, as long as there wasn't any like white, when you stress plastic, and it's a kind of white stretch mark. If it doesn't have that, then you're fine.
Right. Let's see here. Let's go over to the YouTube. Scroll down. Let's see. Sorry. Oh, the question about zebra cakes. I don't. Chris is gone, so there's no more zebra.
I haven't had a zebra cake in once I found out about MTHFR, gene break, and folic acid.
That's like the old thing where like a Twinkie would survive a nuclear explosion, right?
So because of my inability to process folic acid, I have not had any kind of thing like that,
right,
for a long time.
So is someone asked about Built Hammer Review? Is that your
Review is what it's called,
right?
Yeah, that's
okay. So we answered that. What bug killer did you use in Middleton? Nick Anderson's asking that one.
So I buy from Amazon. It's called Telstar. That's the brand. But I buy the granular stuff. Right. So I buy a bag. It's like a 5-pound bag of the granular.
Right.
And then I buy the liquid.
The granular is the stuff they take back to the nest or whatever. Is that the kind of?
I don't know. I guess. But the granular, I use a 5-pound bag. You're supposed to use like a cup. I use the whole 5-pound bag. I just
so you
walk
nuke
around the house.
You just nuke it.
Yeah. And then I do the spray, and so I dilute the spray probably twice what they recommend, and I spray the soffit, and I spray the ground.
Right.
And then I spray all around in the garage, and I spray all soak down all the entryways, and I haven't seen a bug since. I do that once every 6 months or every 4 months or so.
Yeah.
So Telstar granular, Telstar liquid, get about a solo sprayer with a long wand on it, and then I'll just figure out which way the wind is blowing, and I'll walk in the opposite direction and kind of spray the soffit. Takes like 15 minutes.
Yeah, don't get that stuff on you. It's no bueno.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Matt used Moe's Evo on the Red Amira. Why did you choose to use that instead of G-Technique? I think you talked about this last week.
Yeah, well, Jeff has been my friend for a number of years, who runs the North American market for Geon. I've always had a soft spot for Geon. I've always loved the support to the brand. I just have almost always chosen the Car Pro variant, the Car Pro version.
Right.
And so Jeff reached out and said, "Hey, what's going on? Just checking in." We check in every year or so, and he says, "Let me send you some stuff." I said, "Well, here's what I'd like. I'd like some Moe's Evo and some View, and a couple other products." And then he sent me some he thought I might be interested in, and then I just kind of go and play with it, and I decide, what I'm going to use. I know that Moe's Evo is good.
Right.
I don't know if I like it more till I try it. And so I used Moe's in the past many years ago, and this time I did Moe's Evo to see if I liked it more than G-Technique CSL XO, and I don't. But I talked about it in the video. I'm very unlikely, especially when I'm coating a car, to use some rando thing and go take a flyer.
Right.
And so because of coating, and although it's relatively easy to polish off, I don't want to do all this freaking work.
Yeah.
I go with my gut, and I go with what I know, because I know a lot more than you guys know about behind the scenes of this stuff, more than you could imagine. And so it doesn't take much for me to look and know what's going on. So I know a lot about them, and my choice is CSL XO.
Yep.
And I'm back at it, and so I thought, well, maybe Moe's could be. I'm pretty certain that Moe's probably has better longevity, and got lots of comments in the video, and
right.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that I'm guessing longevity is a little longer, but it's not as slick. It doesn't look as good.
Right.
So problem solved.
Yeah, there you go. It says someone's asking about the Wolf's Glass sealant.
Yep.
Ruining the PPF. Did you get any? Do you know why that happened, or
I just don't
know that it happened?
I don't think you can put anything on the. So it's Ultra Fit, the windshield protection,
right?
And it has a top coat,
right?
And so I treated it like PPF,
right?
But I'm treating it not with a traditional coating, because Ultra Fit said you can coat it, but most glass coatings, quote unquote, are really just a sealant. It's like a nano sealant, like a Rain-X type product. And so that whatever the chemical makeup of that is reacted with the top coat on the windshield protection and ruined it.
Right.
So I mean, I don't even know if you would need it. I don't know what the water behavior is on the top coat of that windshield protection, but don't put woofs, don't put view.
Right.
And if you can't put those two on,
my suggestion would be ask the guy who was installing it, because if they recommend something, it likely works, and if it doesn't, then they're kind of on the hook for it.
I don't like that.
I know you don't like warranty, but
I don't like that.
At the end of the day, though, I think
I don't want to use what the guy says because he probably didn't try a bunch of stuff.
Oh, that's fair.
I don't like that.
That's fair. Mr. Cloud asks, how many employees do you have now at the new space and the studio space?
Total, 35? We'll probably need to hire 10 for the studio.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's going to be a big lift. We got a lot of work to do on that.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
So the studio hasn't started yet. I'm keep kicking the can because we're trying to build the infrastructure here to be able to support it.
All right. Freddie asks, when are you going to make over Pan the organizer's garage?
Well, I just said I'm not flying anywhere ever again, so it's going to be a little while. It'll be a while. Pan's garage is set up pretty well, I think.
I think
he's got Rousseau in
he's kind of got it going on, right?
Yeah.
Let's see here.
He wants me to come up there, and I told him I would someday, but when I had time, and that's not looking like anytime soon.
Someone asked why you're selling Helen. I mean, we've talked about that, but maybe just a refresh.
Yeah, the Helen house, I feel complete. I'm going to have a huge undertaking here with Middleton Project. I'm not going to have time to go there. My kids are both pretty competitive in sports. Right. We can't seem to line up a time to go there. What's the point of having all the risk and all the weight? Yep. The other thing I'm looking at is I've got $3 million tied up in that house versus if I had $3 million tied up in the Middleton business. One business breaks even with the goal to own the home someday. Right. The other business makes a multiple. So I can't have both, and so I'm going to make a choice. I could have both, but emotionally I don't want to carry the weight of both.
Right. Blue Streak Brian asks, would you recommend Esoteric for someone to polish PPF and ceramic coat?
Okay. Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. If you're up in that area, I mean, Esoteric is, world class. So, I mean, for sure. I mean, I'm sure that, I don't know what they charge. I'm sure they're top premium dollar.
Right.
And what I would do is I'd talk to Zach or Dan, talk to Todd and say, look, I want to make sure I'm getting, because they have a huge team.
Right.
I don't want the trainee, depending on what level of car you're dealing with. You might be
it's an Oslo Blue GT4 RS.
So you're going to want to request a top, top guy and say, and have them sell you on it.
And we know that car's going to need a little bit of work too, right?
For
Even
sure.
Brand new.
Yep.
Typical PTS.
Yeah.
Porsche.
I would try to talk to Todd and see, hey, I want your best and I'm willing to pay for it.
Ego 880, is it gonna be in the store?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have a date yet?
No.
No date.
I don't know that they're available yet everywhere. They're probably trying to stock lows.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Let's see here. How would you clean a dirty, rusty tire rim? I tried P&S Brake Buster and it barely did anything. I feel like I'm missing something. Please advise.
So it must have like the kind of built up brake dust.
Stained, like that stain when the wheel gets hot maybe.
A lot of times it etches the clear coat and you're kind of in trouble. So
that's right.
The best thing you can do is try to break it down with an iron remover. So do a dedicated iron remover dry first.
Yeah.
Agitate that slightly. I'd put a glove on and agitate with your fingers.
Mm-hmm.
Do that as many times as it takes till it stops turning purple.
Yeah.
Then I would use Shine Supply Wise Guy 50/50, so throw a sledgehammer at it.
Yeah.
And then from there, try to clay it. Grab which is real annoying on wheels, but try to clay bar it with a clay lube, and then try to iron remove it one more time, and then wash it one more time, and it's probably about the best you can get, unless you want to get a polisher out, get the 1-inch nano, and start polishing.
Well, being a dry ice guy, I cleaned a lot of wheel barrels and inside of wheels, and what we used was OSFO, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's metal, if it's not powder coated.
No, you can put OSFO on paint. You just have to test it.
Yeah.
But I put OSFO on just about every kind of paint possible.
You can try that too. You have to see if it'll break down.
Yeah. You just got to break through that baked on brake dust.
We have OSFO in the store. It's phosphoric acid.
Yeah, right. It's an acid. And again, you want to try it on a place you can't see, and just in case, we don't want to get
send me
any
email.
problems.
You told me
We're not buying any new sets of wheels.
Yeah, I'm not doing it.
Let's see here. Got to do a video on the AR630.
Yep. When do we find out? Is it due?
We got the new Gen 2.
Okay.
And we're working on that, getting that in the schedule.
Okay.
So,
So probably next week sometime I'll be shooting up something in the garage with it.
Yeah. So stay tuned. Let's see here. If you were to choose between the Milwaukee 15 millimeter DA and the Rupes, would you pick the Milwaukee, and how much feedback would you say they each give?
So I would pick the Milwaukee. I think the battery's in better position. The batteries are better. It is louder, but it actually transfers. The Rupes is quieter, smoother, but transfers a little higher frequency vibration through your hands, which I find to be more annoying than the lower frequency vibration.
Yep.
So my choice of those two is Milwaukee.
Yeah, I got to use that on LZ's car. It was a nice machine. Someone else was asking, I missed it, what your favorite 5-inch corded polisher is.
5-inch favorite corded is the Rupes Mark V.
Right.
Close second is the LE T4000 Mark II.
If you're on a budget, the LE is pretty good, right?
It's pretty awesome. I mean, it's like 90% as good as a Mark V Rupes.
Right. Let's see here.
The balance of the LE is actually, it's easier to manage, especially if you're a beginner.
Yeah, Ben says it's National Donut Day, so but you're on the carnivore, so we're not gonna don't send any donuts to Middleton.
Nope.
Although how many trips to Provisions have you had?
Provisions
in the last week.
So they told them they opened a grocery store there, and it's like there's only 2 things open in Middleton, and it's like 100 yards from my house, and they're open from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. and they have all kinds of delicious organic snacks and treats and all that stuff. I've only done one snack run last week.
Only one.
And but I bought some provisions there. Bought some. They have this really awesome truffle provolone cheese. They have some
cheese curds.
They do have cheese curds there too.
From the cheese curds guy?
No, not from the cheese curds guy. But the cheese curds guy, I haven't done a reorder. It was too good.
Yeah, that's bad because you like suck down bags of that in one evening, right?
It's thousands of calories per bag. Yeah.
Let's see here. JC Bailey asked, Matt, are you looking to expand your business in any other ways?
Yeah, I mean, we were just had a meeting talking about that. So I think Obsessed Garage's future is we've kind of largely reached the limit of what the marketplace has created, right? So say for instance, when they're talking about the Ryobi pressure washer, so there's this new pressure washer that's the same as all the other pressure washers. Right. I mean, physics are physics. There's a certain amount of water coming out of the wall, a certain amount of power coming out of the wall, a certain amount of water coming out of the faucet, and a certain amount of pressure we can create with those 2 limiting factors.
Right.
So to remarkably change the market, you can make little tweaks, and I someday would like to manufacture a pressure washer with some tweaks that I have in my head. But all you young guys out there looking for the unicorn, I mean, I was looking for it too, and I found some decent devices along the way. The AR630, the development of the Active with those guys. The Karcher was a surprise when I tested all the crappy cheap pressure washers from the other Chinese made from the 2 or 3 factories that make them. And then, of course, the Krenzlo is a bit of an outlier in that it's technically an inferior design over an AR630, but it's like a 911. Something about it. I like how the packaging, how it's all put together. And so the future path for us is going to be to either have exclusivity on a product, so that way we can have a lot of feedback on how a product is made,
right?
Or I'll make a product, so make it. So if I think Cox Hose Reel could make a few tweaks to the Cox Hose Reel, I would work with them to make it and then ask for some sort of exclusivity on the tweak. Or if I think that I need to make it from scratch, my business partner in the engineering business, Joe, and I would make a different version of it and then market it specifically. So we would grow the business through having that exclusivity, and then I would wholesale it to other retailers, and I would send it across the world, sell it to other people, sell it B2B, not just business to customer like I'm doing now.
Right.
I haven't been able to do that because I'm just selling everybody else's product. So right now I'm buying B2C. I can't buy, B, or B. Right now I'm buying B2B and then add another B in there, and there's not enough margin.
There's not enough margin. Yeah, it's
generally
hard.
speaking.
Yep.
So wholesale would be one avenue. Middleton doing installation,
That's right.
so having a markup on the labor, so having a labor related business, and then hopefully the national design business growth from me showing different examples of what you could do in a garage, because we'd have access to tons and tons of projects, and then chasing some home products like becoming a Wolf Sub-Zero dealer,
Right.
things like that. So I think we go from a $20 million to a $100 million business in 5 years if we can turn some levers in the right direction, and set myself up for life, and then set up, the organization as well and the people that work here for life.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing we're doing, like just some of the target clients, right? So locally, we have some car condos being developed, and that's kind of an emerging space across the country. Those are popping up sort of everywhere.
I've never had any success actually getting a car condo to execute, and so luckily there's some here locally, and then you're kind of working with those guys. If we can show people a few examples of how to do it right.
So our goal is to try to get a model. Right. The guy's got 17 bays, get one of them to be a model, and then hopefully that helps us.
And then if we can video that, then people will see it, and that could really turn on some additional revenue growth for the design team.
Yeah, we've got a couple that we've done that are pretty cool. That we're actually working on some good video to showcase those.
So we've done a few dozen here and there, but every car condo in America should be calling us first.
Right.
Yeah, if they knew any better. They just don't know any better.
No.
And a lot of those guys get dug in, and they get sold by their contractor, and they end up with some crap, some goofy crap in there, and some neon lights and weird stuff.
But the good news about that is that's forcing us to work on some products that maybe we haven't worked through, for bigger spaces and that sort of thing. But I think are still relevant for our audience.
Yeah, so there's a significant growth opportunity, and then to grow audience as well. Would be the goal to collaborate and do some things in the future. But in the current stage we're at, I've kind of backpedaled a bit and get focused in on the core business, the core thing that we do best.
Yep.
And I got a little out front of that, and so bringing people like Matt in. I am looking for 2 people. I'm looking for a COO, so an ops person, so somebody in an ideal world. The people I'm looking for, I know it's gonna be expensive. I know I'm gonna have to hire and pay for some expertise, but the CFO type role, I'm looking for somebody who's either a controller or CFO for like $100 million business.
Yep.
So where we're going to,
yep.
And on the ops side, I'm looking for somebody who went from say 10 million to 50 or 10 to 110, was part of building the operations side of that growth trajectory. And so if you're one of those 2 people, I know I'm going to have to pay for it. I know I'm going to have to hire in expertise. And the goal would be that those people would generate way more than they cost by coming in and helping support our young team to get us to that next level. These are 2 areas that I don't have a lot of skill in.
Yep.
Could I become a good ops person? Maybe.
I mean, the best way to describe it from my perspective coming in, right, is so OG is like the duck analogy?
Mm-mm.
So the duck swimming across the pond looks elegant and beautiful, but if you were to go under the water, the feet are paddling like crazy.
Yeah.
Like that's what OG is.
And there's crap.
That's because we've muscled through it, right, to get to where we are today. And so now we have to sort of rethink it, get more process in place, and
well, I've gotten glimpses of it with you and Rusty and Joe Greger. I've gotten glimpses of what it would look like to not have all the weight, the whole thing, and gotten glimpses of had a really highly functioning organization.
Yep.
I don't think we've done anything wrong.
No.
This is
part of the
it's
part of the entrepreneurial process, right? Where you do as much as you can with as limited amount of people and investment
and resources,
and just sell, and then figure out, we've gotten too big and we need to change, right?
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah, and so shoot me an email, matt@obsessedgarage.com. I'm going to start talking about this. I might make a darn dedicated video and sit down. I'm going to read from a description I'm writing.
Job description. Yeah.
Here's who I'm looking for.
That's right.
In an ideal world, they're both OG guys. Guys.
Yeah,
that are
that's even better.
That you may be moving in some sort of widget business that you don't give a crap about the widgets, but you love this, and you get to come here and bring your expertise and work in a love it.
And the best thing is, I mean, once we have Middleton running, we have access to the high school.
Yep.
I mean, I came from Southern California, so coming to Central Florida has been a little bit of an experience, right? It's a little country out here. But the villages and all of the infrastructure that they have is amazing. I mean, the high school is literally like a college campus.
Yep.
And it's charter school. The kids that come out of there, I mean, they got kids that do like ROTC type of stuff and liberal arts and,
a lot of them will come out with an AA.
Smart with,
they'll come out with an associate's degree when they graduate.
But they can do photography, or they can do, building. Like they have a construction management.
There's ag
core, right?
So there's ag. There's construction management. There's a media pathway.
Right. I mean, so if you think about it, like I got a thread with some of my old work buddies on AI, and if you're a kid today, like what career do you go after? As AI is taking over all these entry level jobs, it's hard. It's like, what do you do? But building science and building homes, or even plumbing, electrical, some of the more trades type stuff is like, I think those guys are gonna be able to write their checks. And so if you have kids that are going through that process that have that as an option, not that they have to go that path, but college isn't an option for everybody,
right?
The villages thing is really pretty
so
amazing.
It's a charter school. You have to work for the villages in some capacity or lease space from them, which we will be charter school eligible, and it's free. It'd be like 10 or 12
private.
grand
It's
a
like
year,
a full private education for free, right?
Yeah.
And then the sports facilities are amazing. I mean, it's a pretty amazing experience.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, that's why I moved to Middleton, to be right next to it and be a part of it and be in it. And so that's when I dreamt up the idea. Well, I need to make a design studio, and when we release the space, we can then start to make cases for different employees that are supporting that.
Right.
So. But yeah, hit me up. I'm going to start really digging into this, but maybe you can snake the job before and I'm willing to pay what it takes to get the right person. I'm going to have to.
Yeah.
So this is like, you're going to have to relocate, and we're going to chase for several years. And
the good news is this is a pretty reasonable place to live.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's on the lower third of, the cost.
It's a lot more expensive than it was 3-4 years ago, but it's definitely still reasonable.
Yeah.
Let me see here. How should I try to choose a single small Rousseau cabinet with single upper? Would this look okay versus a mini MSS plus setup? Then maybe get a mini Coke and socket set to go in and some essentials. Sorry.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it depends on which look you like better, right? Do you like the sonic look? And if so, first question is, do you want sonic foam inlays? He says he wants Koken, so then the sonic doesn't have as much weight for me, right? Because with Rousseau, you can design the drawers whatever height you need to be, because you can't stand up a deep well 3/8 inch socket in a sonic drawer.
Right.
It has to lay down.
Yeah.
So you're not as efficient. And so if you're going to do Koken, I would probably do Rousseau, because then you can pick one of the 20 colors as well. The price is it's within 5%.
Similar, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so they're within 5% of each other.
And actually, right now, Rousseau's a little easier to get. We're a little backlogged on Sonic.
Yep. So you could get Rousseau in 3 or 4 weeks. Sonic would probably take 8 to 10 weeks to get. Maybe not one. If you pick the right cabinet, they might have one of them.
But I mean, we're struggling with So if you're waiting for an order, our apologies, but with the tariffs and everything, Sonic just got shredded. They got emptied out, basically.
They had like a banner quarter that they've never had before. Just bought.
Yeah, I think he said they sold like everything they had ordered for the whole year in one quarter or something crazy.
So I would probably in that case do Rousseau if you're gonna do Koken, and then I would want all drawers.
Right.
So I'd want like an 8 drawer lower, and then do the upper cabinet with a back and all that stuff.
The other thing is you can. I mean, our design page is a little bit confusing, in that you can submit it. You go on the design page on our site and submit a request for a garage design. If it's something simple like configuring a Swiss Trax floor or configuring a set of cabinets, because like on MSS you don't know the back piping or on Rousseau, like how to order the right Rousseau, that team will help you. If it's a full garage design, we look for a deposit and a bunch of, a little more commitment. But if it's simple, something like configuring a cabinet, they can still help you.
Yeah,
so
they can draw it and render it.
That's
show
right.
You, here's what
and
it
then
is.
That way they can put it in a cart and then you pay for it and, you're getting all the right stuff. So don't be afraid to do that. We do have that service. Again, if you're looking for drawings and a bunch of stuff like that, then it's a little bit more of a commitment.
Yep.
Let's see here. Jordan Rains, can you use a synthetic clay mitt on ceramic coating for physical decon?
Yeah, you can. You just need to be careful. I mean, if you're trying to just decon it, you're going to scratch it a bit. But I've done it successfully before. Used tons of lube, just because I wanted to get the crunchiness off the coating.
Yep.
You're going to mar the surface a tiny bit. It's like, but you probably won't be able to see it. So just use tons of clay lube. And I would use, N914 diluted 128:1, and just soak it down with that, and then just don't use any pressure and don't go super fast,
right?
And you'll be able to kind of clean up the coating a bit.
Yeah, and I mean even rub your hand over it just before, just to make sure there's nothing. Like you got to make sure it's really clean.
Wash it first.
Make sure it's really clean
after a wash.
Right, yeah. Dylan asks, "Hey Matt, I have the MTM SGS 35. Is there anywhere I can get a new body for the gun without replacing the whole gun? It still functions perfectly, just looks bad."
I don't think so.
No,
that gun sucks anyway. Punt that gun. Get the SGS 28 or the Mosmatic.
Okay, new gun, Dylan. That's
I don't think. I mean, you maybe call, but I don't think they stock any of that. I think you have to buy the whole thing.
Go-to settings for washing and drying microfiber. I think that's a good one.
So I like to wash warm, rinse cold. So not hot, but warm. I like to use rags to riches, and whatever they say to put in, I put like 4 times that in it, the detergent.
Right.
I like to do it on the Speed Queen. I do it on heavy duty cycle, warm, cold rinse. I do a second rinse, and then I dry it on delicate and bring it to full dry. So I never dried my towels before, but then they always fluff up, and I feel like if there's any
what
sand
does delicate do? Is it less heat or less intensity on the cycle?
It's just
less heat.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you set it to, so on a Speed Queen you can set to near dry or dry, and I set it to dry, because then the delicate won't like go past, like it's sensing.
Right. It won't overheat.
It's like right at the edge of like dry.
Right.
So that's how I do it, and then I put them, fold them up, put them away. So I started drying towels like, I don't know, 6-7 years ago. I used to always hang them up because I was afraid. But if you dry them on delicate or like permanent press or something like that, then and you just don't let them sit in there and just heat up, because you'll melt them if you put them in time dry.
And then they'll get scratchy.
Yep.
Zach says, last pod you teased you were looking at another house. Any more details?
So it's not another house.
Well,
it's another it's a property that I would build a house
piece of
on.
dirt.
Right.
It's a piece of dirt.
So it's about a mile from my current house, and it's a community that's being built in the center of it all, but acreage inside of it. And so I was invited to, be a part of that, and so that's about all the details I can share. But it'd be like 10 acres, and there's a gate, and there's like maybe 20 10-acre plots in this one area right next to Middleton, and so I'll be able to build whatever I want there. Yeah. So that's the plan. So I'm going to sell Helen, and then maybe, I don't know, we'll see. It's going to be at least a couple years.
It's a ways out.
Yeah. I mean, it's right now it's farmland, undeveloped.
Yeah. John, and I'm going to say Potusek. I don't know if I'm saying your name right. What AVR would you recommend? Budget around $1,000 to $1,500.
That's a Marantz Cinema 50 money. I think that's $1,500. So Cinema 50, 40, 30. So 50 is the cheaper, 40 is the more expensive. The 30 is $4,500. I think the 40 is like $2,500, and I think that the 50 might be like that, somewhere around $1,050. I think it's $1,500.
Right.
So it'd be a Cinema 50.
Okay.
That's what I would buy it. Rants.
Matthew D asks, any word on the shelf adapter you made to adapt your shelves to the slat wall and also slat wall restock?
Yeah, we were just talking about all of that. I don't know about ProSlat's slat wall.
I didn't. Yeah, that one being out of stock, I wasn't aware of.
Yeah, I mean we order from them. They drop ship direct to you.
Right.
So slat wall, most slat walls should be available. The accessories are on the long list.
Right.
So,
yep,
not anytime soon.
Let's see here. When will we see more from Obsessed Engineering? Similar question.
Yep,
right?
yep. That's what we were working on today. We just got out of a meeting that ran late where we were working on the different products that we're going to be making. So we have to get the infrastructure built. This is why I need the ops person. I need an ops person, and I need the financial person. So I need COO, CFO type. So I need those people to come in and help us be able to execute on the back end to take the weight off the products team so that way we can move more efficiently, more quickly. I think if I invest in that, I think we can, double, triple revenue pretty quickly and overcome that expense.
So I thought we would, I'm a car guy, right? And some of your previous podcasters weren't not really car guys, maybe car interested or car adjacent, but not really what I would consider a car guy. So I thought it'd be interesting. So you graduated college what year?
2002.
2002. So think about, you graduate college, you get a couple years under your belt. It's 2005, right? And you're looking to buy the ultimate, what I would say, $40,000 all-wheel drive, turbocharged Japanese sedan.
Okay.
Your choices are Evo MR or a Subaru STI. What's your choice?
So back then, that was, then I had the 350Z had just come out, right, and the S2000.
Yeah.
So those were the four cars I was considering.
Okay.
And so that would have been actually 2003. Was when I was like, okay, now I got making some money. I don't have any, I'm out of college. I can work full time. Sky's the limit.
So what I'm saying is rewind your clock back to that time period and tell me what you do.
So I was at the Mitsubishi dealer a couple of times looking at, I liked not the MR, but I liked the LS, I think it was, which was the wingless.
Like a limited version, right?
Yeah, it was the stripper version.
Oh, it was a stripper? Okay.
Yeah, with no wing.
Right.
So I was between that. It was an STI as well, which I hadn't really considered that much because my mom had a Subaru Outback. I'm like, I don't really want a Subaru.
Right.
And then and the 350Z was coming out. I'm like, oh man, what's that going to be like? And then S2000. And my best buddy had an S2000. I knew I loved that. And I was a Honda guy. I had a Civic SI.
Okay, but this is a hypothetical. I'm not asking you to pick what you buy. Don't add cars in there.
Oh, okay.
Evo versus STI.
I thought you were asking for the real life story.
No, I'm not asking what you did. I'm asking we're in hypothetical land.
Yeah, so I'm buying the Evo.
And why? Do you even remember?
I just think that the Evo looked cooler. It was a little squarer, less round. I liked I felt like Mitsubishi was more Japanese, and I was all about JDM. I don't know why. It just felt more Japanese to me. Maybe it was the name or something. But, this is 23-year-old Matt thinking. I loved Japanese JDM culture, It was so cool. Fast and Furious had just come out.
Yeah.
I just loved everything JDM. And I felt like the JDM support was, it was just a different grouping of products for the two cars, and so I liked that the Mitsubishi product line of modifications seemed more JDM to me.
So I think you got that wrong. I owned an 05 STI, great car, one of my favorite all times. The funny thing is I did a lot of business in Japan, so I was in Japan all the time. And the sales guys over there, when I told them what I bought, they started laughing at me. I said, "Why are you laughing?" And they said, "Well, a Subaru is a farmer's car."
Yeah.
Right? Because of the all-wheel drive, the farmers would buy them. They would never die. They used them like tractors. So I thought that was a really interesting a way to think about it.
Yeah, so I'm thinking I was the Evo. I have an Evo now, so I've never owned an STI. And I've owned the Evo.
Right.
I wanted an STI hatch though. I like the
next generation.
Correct.
Yeah.
So like a 2010 hatch. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I like the hatch because you can put some subwoofers in the back easier, and then it's not vibrating the trunk and stuff like that. Yeah.
Subwoofers. All
right.
Okay, so going back to the Facebook group. So this is in the Obsessed Garage Facebook group, not the Inside the Hex.
Okay.
Andrew Talman, I may have missed it somewhere, but what is the status release date of the pressure washer system?
I don't know. I'm not sure. Where again, all the
it's complicated.
Yeah,
it's complicated. That's what we're
all
say.
The infrastructure stuff we're working on. It's going to happen. I want it to happen. I don't have a date for you.
Right.
I'm going to stop saying next month.
Right.
Because it's been 3 years.
Yeah.
We were just meeting on that today to figure all this out. Because that's part of the Obsessed Engineering project list. Yeah. I don't know.
So we got a lot of things going on. So the building here, we've made some progress on the building. Guys are painting walls.
Yep.
I
picked out an office.
We got a layout plan. You got an office. I'm in it right now, and so there's like 4 colors of blue on the wall that all look hideous.
And there's a box of
paint in there.
I'm gonna go test that out after the podcast and just pick some colors.
And then the other cool thing we're working on, which we were supposed to do before we came in here, but we didn't get to it, was picking out some custom layouts for Sonic Foam.
Right. One of the frustrations with Sonic Foam is they don't have like a complete set.
Right.
And you end up with a lot of redundancy. And then there's not a great set for MSS Plus.
Right.
And so, but they'll make whatever we want. They just said, tell us what you want, and we'll make it. And so we just have to tell them what we want.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's going to be really cool.
Yep.
Definitely. And that's your favorite thing. You get to sit down with all the tools and the catalog and map all that stuff out, right? Let's see. I think I got all the questions. It's pretty quiet today.
I put my
if you have a question, put it up on the
I put my 97 OLED in. I bought the G2 and I think it sucks. I think I might have screwed up.
You bought the wrong 97-inch screen?
It's not wrong. It's just not very good. I thought it was better than that. I've seen it personally.
You're going to have to put a Samsung in?
No, they don't make one.
Oh, okay.
I just might have to. So they lured me in.
You going Vizio?
No. Best Buy had, so there's the G2, there's the M3, and then there's the G5. The G5 is the new one, but it's $25,000. I'm not.
That's a little over the budget.
And so the G2 is a 2022 version, and they had it for $5,800 off for Father's Day weekend,
right?
Or whatever, Labor Day, or whatever they want, Memorial Day, all of it combined, just the sale. And so it's $12,000 for the G2, and it was $25,000, And so I'm like, I think the G2 is going to be fine. I think it's not good.
Well, here's your solution. You can bring that down. We can put that in the conference room. It'll be our projection screen.
Right. Yeah. Shoot. It would look pretty sick in there.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
But then what am I going to do? But my room is set up. It's really cool.
Yeah, because that's at the end on the other side of your desk, right?
Yeah. My office theater is in full on. See, look at what I did here.
Oh my!
So I got all my acoustic treatments.
Yeah. So basically, Matt put the screen over the window at the end of the office to the front of the house.
Look how awesome that's going to be.
That's going to be good.
Yep. Acoustic treatments. I'm going to have treatments on the wall.
If only, everywhere. Our next step on the pod would be able to put that image up on the screen. So maybe we can figure out that solution for when Michael gets back and he can run that.
So I don't know what I'm going to do with the TV.
Okay, so when are we finishing up the Evo that's in the lobby?
Theoretically, I'm freaking dying here, but theoretically, I'm going to go start it right now.
Right.
I'm just going to sit on a stool.
So you and Chris, right? You and Chris are going to work on that?
So what I'm going to do, Chris Corberry YouTube channel. He has a YouTube channel. Right. And then Obsessed
And
Garage.
Chris runs our design team.
Yep. So we'll bounce back. And Chris is like the Evo whisperer. He's the guy I called to consult, him and Anthony from the Rag Company, on what I should do with my Evo. And so I bought all the stuff that he said to do, and I just haven't done it yet. So we're going to do it together today, tomorrow, and whatever it takes. The Evo's officially for sale, $99,995, so $100,000. Evo's for sale. I'm going to put the Muellerized Olin suspension on it, the Wed Sport wheels, precision align it with the CSM system I have. I already have the plates for it. We're putting the FP Green turbo. We're going to take it up to Chris Carby to have him tune it. It's going to be like 400 horsepower with the wheels. It's going to be beautiful. It's beautiful. It's 5,000 miles on it. It's the best Evo ever. And the interior's mint. It's perfect. So I'm going to sell it. So finish it, sell it. I feel complete with it, but I need to complete the project.
Yep.
So I thought about it'd be better for me to just take all the parts off, sell those separately, and put it back to stock, and sell it for $75,000. Instead, I'm gonna just sell it as one package. Somebody will buy it.
Right.
So if you want that, shoot me an email.
So Ryan asks, have you tested Gian Interior Detailer yet?
Yeah. I don't need an interior detailer. It's leave something behind. I don't like that. Nothing beats Griot's interior cleaner, I don't think. But yeah, they love that product. Lots of people love it, but I don't want a detailer. I have a bottle of it, but I don't want it to leave stuff behind in my interior.
So Jordan's saying basic finance advice part 2 is still missing on the site. So maybe John, you can help me with that. We'll go.
I was planning on shooting episode 4. Hopefully, if I get some time this weekend.
Yep. Thoughts on Gian Bathe? Or Bath, I don't know.
Yeah, Bathe is good. I just think GSF is better.
Right. Mike Lang's asking about the steady racks in the Middleton garage.
Yeah, we have them in the store.
Yep.
And I wouldn't do those that I have. Right after I bought those, they came out the new one. The new one's better.
Right.
Everything about's better, and we have the new version in the store. But yeah, they make a narrow, medium, and wide for like a fat tire.
Right.
I actually have Ryan's 75-pound
electric bike.
Yeah.
So Obsessed Detailing Solution is asking, can we get a replacement housing for OG Mosmatic gun?
Nope.
Just
got to buy a new one.
There you go.
Stop dropping it on the ground.
That's right. Hey, hold it. It was Adam that you were doing that with. He put it on the ground and you scolded him,
what
right?
What are you doing here? Yeah. Hold it in your hand, or you got to set it on your seat.
Yeah.
I'd rather stand up and put the Mosmatic gun on my seat than, putting my gun on the ground.
Right. So Dylan's saying, told the 630 is being phased out for the new model. Will parts for the AR 630 become harder to come by or still available? Do you know how their support is on older products?
I'm sure that they'll continue.
I would think
it's pretty simple stuff, so I would hope so.
Yeah. Frank says, Matt, I'm looking to get into polishing, but is the $150 Scan Grip Sun Match 4 really necessary? Could I get something similar for $50 to $60?
It depends on your lighting in your house. Like, I don't even use the darn thing much anymore. No, you can't get the same thing. The LED quality is key here. You need a good, high-quality LED. If I could only have one and I didn't want to spend $150, just buy like the match pen. The little match pen, because at least has a quality LED.
So the logic is spend $50 to $60 in the Scan Grip line?
I would, Yeah, because when you get into those crappy LEDs, your light quality is not good, and you're not going to be really seeing what you're trying to see.
Let's see. Jordan's asking, looking at the new diffuser pouches, are they in stock or should I order them separately? Not sure.
I think we still have them. They are in stock, but I'm just not sure if we sold out.
Yeah, with the giveaway, things can go pretty quick.
I'm not sure.
It says, Matt, I have a rising 9th grader who was accepted in a STEM engineering pathway. He is gifted in math and science. Any advice for college? His top choice is Georgia Tech. He's in 9th grade, and we're working on colleges already.
Yeah. I'd look at the engineering schools, Purdue, Georgia Tech.
I think, I'm not an engineer, but I worked with a lot of engineers, and I actually went to an engineering school in California, Cal Poly Pomona. My logic is if you have a field you're interested in, I would look at schools that serve the field and a specialty because To me, your college degree is to get you your first job. And if you have the right school with the right connections, it'll put you into the right industry. So I would look at that over just pure academics.
I think it also depends on if the kid is going to be an engineer.
Right. Well, I'm assuming
right. So if you're going to be an actual engineer, like I was never going to be an engineer, right? So if you're going to be an actual engineer, then that is very important. Find the specialty, the school that specializes in, and try to get into that school.
Yeah. So for instance, at my little school, they were sponsored by Honda. They built solar racers, and so a lot of those engineers in the mechanical engineering went into Honda in Torrance, straight out of the school. So,
but otherwise, you would want to just choose, the best school. So if you just want an engineering degree like I did, just choose the best school you can get into, because then you're going to leverage the school name.
Yeah, I would argue also the best school, they'll give you a bunch of money. If you're in that, if you're that level.
Yeah.
If you're that level.
So if you're like me and you just get into school, school, and you didn't get any money, then you just borrow and just go make it happen.
It says, Deagle456 is saying, any plans to do an employee garage build series or something like that? I thought didn't you guys do something
Waba's
like that?
Garage.
We did Waba,
yeah. But no, it's not in the plans, not with Middleton. But we will have the capability to do that kind of stuff in the future.
Right.
A lot of the, most of the staff is because we started with nothing. We're on the come up.
Right.
So they're not there yet.
Right.
I wasn't there. I didn't build my first garage till I was in my late 30s.
Yeah.
So.
We're also going to have, I think, if you're looking for smaller garages, like 2-car garage or something like that, as we build out Middleton,
right,
we're going to have a ton of, I would say, more conventional type stuff that we're going to work with. So, Eli asks, what do you think of Soft 99? Do you know what that is?
Yeah, Soft 99 is a Japanese company that specializes in like carnauba wax and then a lot of other products. Like I just use Glaco on my glass. I get the sense that Soft 99 is a lot like, it's just a really cool, because it's all in Japanese writing, but it's like, it'd be like Autoglim in Europe. But because it's European, Autoglim is just at like all the, the gas stations.
Right.
Or it would be like, I don't know, what would that be here? Like Mother's.
McGuire's or Turtle Wax or
Turtle Wax here, right. And so I've tried a bunch of the Soft 99 stuff. The guy that represents Soft 99 here is cool. But I get the sense that it's kind of like Chinese turtle wax level stuff, or not Chinese, Japanese turtle wax. Which would mean,
it's Japanese products are definitely higher level than typical products.
Yes.
Right?
So, but I haven't found anything that I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to have this. And I've had a lot of the different products, but nothing that like say, oh my gosh, this is the best in class.
Yeah. X6M Ghost also asks, have you tried Yumcar products or any plans to?
So that dude, I kind of got in trouble with that guy. He's just copied my words. He's in the UK.
Right,
He's like, copy the words I say, and then he would send me an email saying, look at how good I did at copying you, and he wanted me to like thank him or something.
Bless it.
And I finally had to tell him. I said, dude, just stop telling me this, because what you're doing is not cool.
Right.
Like he's like making videos, like using the exact like Matt Mormon goofyisms that it's like,
be authentic, right?
And I guess his idea was that, well, there isn't an Obsessed Garage here in the UK, so I'm going to replicate it.
Right.
And then, I've seen him here in the US with the same kind of guy. So there's a lot of people that you watch videos that like they started detailing like a couple of years ago. Like, remember the Dallas paint correction guy? You ever watch him? He'd been detailing for like 6 months. Started a YouTube channel and pretended like he's detailing for 30 years.
Right.
And then he made a real big splash because I just kept my mouth shut because I didn't want to pick the fight. But he made a real big splash because he was talking about like Purple Power, and then he was selling like here's a way to repurpose cheap stuff and get the same result. And then he launches a $180 coating.
Right.
And so my friend Samit, who does he's the Merrill X dealer and makes, so he partnered with Scott to do the luxury microfiber line. I told you, I know a lot more of what's going on behind the scenes than you guys could ever imagine. And so there's a lot of people out there, in the detailing space that are, they don't really say it,
Right.
but they're not telling you the whole story. Like they'd say, I've been, you know, they'll imply things or infer like they've been detailing for
Right.
a long time, and then for whatever reason they have, you know, there's a lot of broad appeal. There's a bunch of them now that are back in this realm.
Right,
I'm not going to pick a fight here, but it's whoever you're thinking. There's a lot of them that, you know, been detailing for 18 months and pretend like they've been detailing for 18 years, and then they start a channel or they're on Instagram or they're doing a bunch of stuff, and it's freaking nonsense.
Right.
And they all come and go. You know, Scott, who knows, he disappeared.
Yeah.
But, you know, he was sleeping on, you know, Darren Priest's couch, you know, and Darren's auto fetish detail, long-term detailer, like an actual professional detailer. Right. So there's a lot of these guys that you see that come into this space. And so I see Yum Cars, you know, showing up in the U.S., and he tried to backdoor me on the press-all bottles and stuff. I'm going to break his heart by saying this again. He probably hates me now, but he just doesn't get that it's not cool to this is my life. This is me. And you're stealing my life. You're stealing my personality and replicating and pretending instead of doing you. You know, I've done me the whole time. I'm copying. I'm incapable. I'm not talented enough to copy other people. But that product is a rebottled product that he's doing. Everybody's doing. This is the thing that I don't think can be done well. Is that you find a chemist. That chemist, all chemists believe they can make any product and make it amazing. And so then you make a product line, and if you're lucky, that chemist gets one right, like lightning in a bottle. Or what they generally do is reverse engineer, right? Even like Liquid Elements, Sebastian, he doesn't make any bones. He's like, I'll reverse engineer the Windex or whatever, try to figure out what makes it work and try to tweak it and make it better. But even if, so you reverse engineer, you make things bespoke, you start with a recipe, you try to adjust. But how it generally works, if I wanted to make a new soap, I'd find a chemist. And then I'd have to sort of pitch you and market you. Hey, man, I found the best chemist in the world. You don't understand. He's better. Because they all, if you ever talk to a chemist, they're usually pretty sharp, you know. And so then you think you've got the best chemist. And you say, all right, here's what I want. I like the performance of GSF. Give it to you, and you come to me and say, well, what do you not like about it? And I say, well, you know, I wish it was a little thinner, you know, it wasn't so thick. I wish it would give a little bit better foam, and then I also want it, when that foam dissipates, that it doesn't reactivate, and I really would like it to be pH neutral, like dead 7.0, and then I just want it to be special, and that's very open-ended. And so then you as the chemist say, oh, I can absolutely do that. So he changes the surfactant, changes the detergent, you know, just a couple of things. And then he sends me a sample. And I get that sample. I'm like, wow, this foams pretty well. You know, it's not quite slick enough. Could you make it a little slicker? So then they add a little bit more detergent to it, or change the alkalinity a little bit, you know. But now it's not 7, you know, pH 7. But they change some things, and he tries to get it back to 7. It tells me what he can and can't do, and I get a version 2, and then I try that. I'm like, oh, I really like this. This is great. But I know in my mind that it's not as good as like the original GSF. It's not as good, but it's pretty good. And then I focus in on, what does it smell like? What color is it? Which doesn't freaking matter. But what color and scent? And then I go in and I focus in on the label. Because I'm not original enough, I'm not going to go like make bespoke bottles, because that costs a lot of money.
That's a big investment.
Right, I'm going to have to put a lot of money in, or even like press-all. I got to stake my reputation and go try to find something different to put it in. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to find a bottle I think looks cool. So I'm going to focus in on the label. So what ends up happening is you have 2 to 3 iterations. You focus in on how pretty the label is and how your whole line looks, and then the first product, you might get 4 or 5 different samples back and forth. But then the second product is 2 or 3, and the fourth product, the fifth product is just 1. Your chemist just gives you whatever they give you, and you say, oh, yeah, this is good enough. And then you end up with 12 products. And then your goal is, well, I got to make the 13th product this year, because I got to come up with something new.
Add to the catalog.
I got to add to the catalog, and then you get to like 15 different products, and you have a whole product line that you have, quote unquote, vetted and tested. And you end up with a bunch of mediocre crap that now you're stuck with, that you've got to like stake your reputation on and market the heck. And so that's what, almost every line of product, and they all think it's different. They all think they're doing something different than everybody else, but they're all doing the exact same thing. I can't do that because I would be paralyzed by the first product. I would have started 10 years ago and I'd still be on the soap trying to figure out how to make it better, hiring and firing different chemists. I'd be $3 million into it, and I just didn't. I never caught lightning, and I never hit the lottery.
Right.
I never hit the GSF lottery or the reset lottery. But most people believe that you could just reverse engineer, reset it and then make it a little bit better.
Well, a lot of those brands too are just about marketing. Right. I mean, it is the shape of the bottle or the color of the bottle or the label, right. or.
And that's the argument. Well, that's right? The argument in the industry that there is no such thing as lightning in a bottle. It's all the same stuff.
Right.
And so, you know what? I can market it. I can put a good label on it. I can create a good system, and I'm just good with that. That's just not what I'm interested in owning, so right. I can't create it. I would make a lot more money if I'd just done that. Let's just go make the Obsessed Garage line of stuff.
Right.
And so we just had a 2-hour meeting about we're not making it unless it's better. I don't want to make anything.
Right.
I just only make it if I have to. And chemistry, detailing chemical, manufacturing is not simple. And so then you have a company like Armor Detail Supply. Bradley has a detailing, he's a detailer.
Right.
Tim Coates made Ethos. Jeremy from Shine Supply. Those guys have a leg up because they own a detailing facility, so they can actually get 12 or 18 or 20 different iterations
right.
and really put it through its paces. And so those are so I think tier 1 is the original manufacturers, the G-Technics, the Car Pros, the Geons that are either they own a blending facility, they are even Adams, Griot's Garage, they're the original. Adams for a long time just had a partnership with a blender,
right?
But then they bought the blender, and so P&S, or they blend it themselves. Mm-hmm. They have the chemists on staff, Griot's Garage chemist and chemistry team on right. staff. So that's tier 1. Tier 2 is those guys I'd mentioned, the Jeremys from the Shine Supply, Tim Coates, Armor Detail Supply. To me, that's tier 2 of people who are working with a chemist. They generally have a great relationship. And then tier 3 is tier 3 to me is the commodities dealers, Turtle Wax, Mothers, McGuire's,
those guys,
non-professional.
a big company like that may have their own chemists too, but they're
they 100% do.
But they're pursuing a different
price point
right.
and consumer, right? They're not approaching the professional.
Sure.
That's where Adams has changed so much, and that Adams was focused on the professional,
mm-hmm.
the professional, do it in professional grade,
right.
packaging it for the prosumer, and then they could reach both the pro and the
right.
and the amateur. And then eventually now they've realized, well, there are a lot more amateurs than there are pros. So forget the pros.
Right.
Let's do the amateur. And so then the last tier is what I'd mentioned, the influencer, me. I go and I decide I'm going to make my own brand.
Right.
And so a Yum Cars, Pans line,
you got
ammo, all these other lines. And not to say they can't get lucky and catch lightning in a bottle. But to me, I'm least interested in that because they don't have the bandwidth to do the research, to do the testing that even a Jeremy from Shine Supply who owns two or three shops can do.
Right.
So Jeremy has a relationship with Chris from B&B, and so they worked very closely. So Jeremy had an inside and had like a top tier chemist at B&B Blending, so he was able to make some bespoke stuff, and then he's putting it through its paces in the facility.
Right.
But Jeremy's not a chemist,
no.
And so he's not like changing the chemical makeup. Larry kind of markets that his wife and his father-in-law are chemists, but he's not a chemist.
Right.
He understands some basic chemistry, I'm sure, and can bounce it off of them. But he's having a blender blend the product and then changing the color and scent. And then, like Larry got right, Hydrate several years ago was like the best product for a wax car in the world, hands down.
Right.
Lightning in a bottle. Got the blender. I don't know what the combination of factors went into making that product, but it got one of the best products of all time. And then it kind of got left behind because coatings took over and it didn't work as well with coatings. But in general, lines like Yum Cars, like my good friend Pan, they have such a House of Rags stuff. I forget what Detail Co or whatever. They're like 4th or 5th tier because they have such a disadvantage over, even a Meguiar's that can't get it right. And Meguiar's has a 3M, chemistry team conglomerate. Right. They're making raw materials. And so it was really cool to see, when you go to Griot's Garage and you see all the, the lab coats and the testing, and they have 3 chemists, the head chemist, and then they have their own vats, and they're mixing their own stuff. And even then, they have like 2, I think, of the best products. And so when you're doing this blending formulation thing, it just doesn't work.
Even if it's a great product, it may not have the attributes you're looking for. Right, because
that's true. So there's a lot of subjectivity.
Because the blender, or the company is solving a certain, ceramic coating is a good example. Like, you like a slickness level or a depthness of gloss.
Certainly.
Other people are trying to solve, longevity or, 5-year warranty.
But there's still an objective performance, I think. Now, we're splitting hairs here, but somebody has to decide. I talk about this when you're gonna put a portfolio of mutual funds together. Somebody has to decide which mutual fund you're gonna buy.
Right.
Somebody has to make that subjective, hopefully analytically based decision, with some sort of experience and expertise. And so this testing stuff that has to be done. So what Pan is arguing is saying, look, I've tested tons of products. I've used tons of products, so I know what's good and I know what's not. I think my name's worth something, and I think that I can find the best chemists.
Right.
And so I don't think that I could do that, and so I don't agree with him on that. I don't begrudge him doing that.
Well, you do find the best. You do find the best chemists. You just find it across product lines,
right? And one again, one could argue, Pan could argue, well, that's subjective, Matt. That's a subjective opinion,
right?
Who's to say that? And like I put OG name on the drying aid, it's a B&B, off the shelf product,
right?
And I changed the color and scent, but I haven't found a tire dressing that's better. The moment I do, I'm going to punt it in the trash.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with drying aid, which is B&B Slipstream, and then the Decon soap. And I've been trying to find something better, but that's an old chemical guy's product. It's made by Projet, which is an old Warner chemical guy. He's mixing that product up. The thing that frustrates me, I wanted to go, and I've been good friends with the Projet guys for a number of years. They won't even let me come. I want to come see how you make this. Oh, no, we can't do that. What do you mean?
Trade secrets, right?
Yeah, trade secret. I'm like, so I can't show my people what my own product is, how it's made? No, you can't. It's like, what? This is crazy. And so, like, I've never even seen how OG drying aid is made.
Right.
I don't know. And I want to get rid of it the moment I can find something better. And so that's the other difficulty is that, what if the best chemist is at Meguiar's and they're not for hire?
Right.
Now you have to use your inferior product and you're stuck with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you send it, and the argument is, well, you could just easily reverse engineer it. It's like, good luck. Reverse engineer traceless, touchless.
Right.
How come no one's done it? It's not that easy. There's titration, there's heat, there's sequence, there's the recipe. How come everybody can't make a amazing wedding cake? It's just flour.
It can be even the bottle. It can even be the bottle it's sitting in, right? That doesn't leach chemical into it, or
right.
Things.
And so my whole diatribe here is, I don't know where I was going with that, but the guy from Yum Cars, I feel bad for like saying, look, dude, stop freaking copying me. But his line of products doesn't interest me because I would be much more interested in searching, and there's a chance that one of his products is he caught lightning in a bottle. The chemist that he hired, and he chose the right sequence of things, and I bet you he would argue that he's tested it 57 ways from Sunday. My guess is he's done what I explained, where you got 2 iterations, you change the color and scent, and then maybe you get a little bit different formula difference. If I had a line of chemicals, I'd be on version 37, version 1, 2, 3. You constantly need to be tweaking it. And most of these, you don't see different versions.
Yeah.
Build Hammer, this is why I like Build Hammer so much. Pete doesn't even tell you. Like, the formulation changes all the time.
Right.
Touchless, from when I first said I want to do it, and now, is like a completely different product.
Right.
It's like you use a different dilution. It's like completely different consistency. It performs much better with less less product. It's actually 8 times more effective.
I think that's really important for the audience to know, because you probably ought to keep up on which version you're coming with the label or whatever, to make sure you're mixing it right.
When I was at Griots and Jolie was walking us through, they were reformulating and testing their best product, which is fast correcting cream.
Right.
I'm like, don't mess it up. You guys are going to mess it up. Don't freaking touch it. But they were convinced, and they had like 14 different samples of like with all these different, I couldn't show it on camera because like there's a lot of proprietary
But they were convinced
stuff.
they could make it better.
Yeah. And I'm like, we're not going to do that if you're just kind of an influencer guy working with a chemist.
It takes a lot of commitment.
But I get it. I understand why, and I don't begrudge, I hope Pan doesn't watch this and get all pissed off at me, because I think what Pan's doing is really smart.
Yeah.
He has a massive audience. He has a lot of influence.
Well,
he knows what's good.
If everybody did everything the same, there wouldn't be
the problem
variety,
is everybody's doing everything the same.
Blending wise.
In branding.
Right.
But they all think they're doing something different.
Right.
But it's all the same.
Fair point.
And I'm waiting for somebody to do something different. That's why Armor Detail Supply, I think, is resonating so much.
Right.
I feel like now I've been busting Bradley and DJ's chops about this a little bit, but I think you guys are just doing the same thing everybody else is doing. But I think there's a little bit more to it.
Yeah, they're putting more into it.
Yeah. I just wish one of these guys, well, if you have real chops, then why don't you show it? No one's ever showed it.
Right.
No one's ever gone back to show me the photos of you detailing 18 years ago. It's freaking nonsense. Show me the proof. Because what I hope that I'm doing is I'm literally carrying this camera around, and I showed my underwear drawer today.
You show everything.
Right. And so I'm just doing it because I find it fun and interesting to do. Right. But I don't believe it.
Right.
And I know the behind the scenes of most of this stuff, and so I don't believe it because it's not true in a lot of the cases. So sorry to pick on Yum Cars again, because I've already
that was a mild rant.
Broken his heart.
That was like a nice rant.
A lot of this stuff it frustrates me a bit, because I feel like the end consumer needs to understand some of this stuff, but all it does is pick fights and get you in trouble and make everybody
I think
not like you. But it's the truth. I mean, most of the stuff you think is a bunch of freaking nonsense.
My sense is there's a big enough market for everybody to do their thing, and there's enough really to go around. It's just if you want the best.
Right, exactly. If you want the best, the best is subjective.
Yep.
But if you want something that's great put together and aggregated, I would follow the Matt Mormon tier system. Go with the OEs.
Yeah.
And sometimes the OEs can dupe you. Where's G-Technic making their actual coating?
Right.
Because they're probably using one of the same companies that everybody else is using.
Yeah.
And then and that's okay. I don't care where it's made, but what are the chops behind it? And I've read some of the some of the really detailed documents. I don't know enough to be educated, but my gut usually leads me down the right path of who's legit and who's not.
Right.
And so I just don't like the inference. I don't think anybody's out there lying. I just think that there's a lot of inferring or a loud inference, right? Where you think I'm mixing it up. You're thinking I'm mixing ammo's hydrate. Ammo's Larry's mixing up in his bathtub. No, it's probably at Warner Chemical.
Yeah.
And
they're bottling that. It comes finished, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Larry doesn't. You haven't seen Larry's warehouse and bottling stuff.
Right.
If he had it, he would show. I would show it.
Yeah.
I would be marketing it. In fact, one of the things I wanted to do, one of my requisites with the brands when I want to start bottling and press-all, I want to make sure that the totes come with GSF on the frickin' bottle from Coach Chemi, because I want to market that.
Right.
When we're bottling and I'm showing you my bottling machines, I want to be able to market that this is
because we don't want people thinking we're sending fake GSF, right? Like we've made
and I just want the combined marketing power of showing you the truth. Why is nobody? And Pan brought up a good point to me. He says, so Pan, why aren't you showing me who's the blender? He's like, well, if I share that, then I lose my proprietary.
Yeah, someone can go to
the
blender.
Pan, that's what everybody says.
Right.
So then you're all getting it done at the same spot or something near the same spot. Or maybe you have the one person that's a little bit different, but why don't you show me?
Right.
That would be different. What everybody's doing is identical. They're all doing the identical thing. And I get why. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's the same thing I rail against pro-only coatings. The only reason everybody has pro-only coatings because everybody has pro-only coatings.
Right.
Because they think that that's what they need to do. Well, part of the reason why Obsessed Garage has been so successful is because I don't buy into the status quo. It gets me in a lot of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably going to get in a lot of trouble for this rant here. But I want to do it the way I feel like it should be done. And again, one could argue the way I think it should be done isn't necessarily the right way.
Right.
But I just don't love the fact that everybody does the exact same thing and they think they're doing it differently.
Right. So let's move to Press-All. Surprisingly, we didn't have any questions on Press-All. I think just to give an update.
Have we had any success? So the fluorination company said put it out in the sun. That UV.
So I mean, just let's just rewind a little bit. So we have some yellowing in the bottles.
Okay.
Right. Everything works great. It's just it's the
and Press-All's losing their crap because they don't know why.
Right, and they don't know why, and so they're working on it. And they're a little slow, so we appreciate everybody's patience.
So there's a reason why it took me 6 years to get here.
Right.
I don't want to throw my friends at Press-All under the bus, but they.
Like I'm pushing on Matt because I'm used to a world where like when you have a quality problem, you're on it and you're driving people crazy, and the
Germans will just disappear.
Slow. Yeah, it's just definitely
they
slow,
don't get stressed out.
Yeah,
I'm stressed out to the max.
Right.
You're even more stressed out than me.
Right.
And our customers are stressed out, and so I feel the pain of that, and so then I'm stressed out to the max. But there's a reason why it took us 6 years to get a brown ball.
So the net is we think something happened in the process of fluorination, right? And that's what they're investigating. And that's what they're trying to get to the root cause on. And we hope to hear a little more next week. So
something likely changed from fluorinating 24 bottles to 2,400 or 20,000 or whatever, 2,500 at a time.
Right.
So something clearly changed in that process.
But what they did tell us, the fluorinator told us, or told them who brought it to us, that UV light can actually reverse the yellowing. So Tommy and Bryce, I think Bryce has a UV light, right, John? He's got so we actually put some artificial UV light on it, and it sort of worked. And then we put them out in the sun, and it worked even better.
Okay.
So then I was like, well, what happens when we put the chemical back in? So they put the chemical back in, and it turned yellow again. So it's a temporary solution, or it's a solution like if you have a bottle and you revert it to a chemical that's not pH with a high pH, then potentially you can recover a bottle back to a white state until we figure out what the problem is. But it does work. The UV light does work.
It's freaking stupid. It drives me crazy that,
But I think what it is it's the level of fluorination has to be managed for the production process, and we've got to get to that state.
And fluorination, I think, is such a huge value add.
Well, yeah, I mean,
it makes your labels stickier.
The crazy thing is the fluorination is it makes the bottle harder to stain and do other things, and so the fact that it's changing color is really strange.
Yeah. And the Germans are like, well, we don't have an answer. I'm like, this is not, and I'm doing the American thing, like, and they're on June holiday, and I'm like, you guys don't understand, like, the whole freaking world is melting down.
Right.
And so
we appreciate everybody, because I think everybody has been patient. I mean, we got a lot of input when we first launched. You have been patient. We appreciate that. We are working on it. So hopefully maybe next week we'll have a little more clarity on what the issue is and what we can do about it. So that's one. So John, the question about Apple Podcast. Do we have a plan to get back on Apple Podcast? Okay, so John's working on that. So bear with us if you're watching this and you prefer to be on the podcast app. I understand that. I've detailed many cars myself listening to the podcast instead of watching it, so I understand the desire to have it there. Anything else you want to cover today? We're an hour and a half in.
I don't think so. What are the guys saying about my am I getting in trouble here?
No. Someone wants to see your boxer shorts. Right. Love the rant.
Yeah.
I love my brown Press-Alls. I'm sure they will figure out eventually.
Yeah. I love mine too, man. They're so good. Despite the Tarex problem. Yeah. Because Tarex eats through the spaghetti straw. So I love Kip's idea. Just put the old straw.
Put the old straw on.
Yep.
Yep. Dylan says, thoughts on mineral gray metallic? You probably don't know yet because you really haven't played with it, right?
Oh, is he talking about Arctic Ray?
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe it's Arctic. Yeah. Okay. I'm assuming, Dylan.
I think the Arctic is
right?
no metallic. I don't think it's metallic.
It's a flat color.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know yet. I try not to look at it.
Right.
It's just sitting there.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
that's it.
I think that's it for this week.
I'm gonna go.
Michael will be back next week. You can get back on track.
Nice. Yep. I've got the new JTR Kalos. I gotta show people this thing. I gotta look
go
at
get
this.
it. Yeah. So Matt's gonna get the our new. Should I call it a sound bar, Matt? I mean, don't call it a sound bar.
No, you nuts.
I always get in trouble with Matt and AV equipment.
This is the way should be.
It's pretty cool. It's like Baltic birch plywood. Is that what that?
Stacked Baltic birch.
Right. So maybe turn it so people can see the grain.
So this came about when I said to Jeff, I said, look, I love the JTR speakers, but we can't put these darn things in a living room. And I never even considered as speakers, only the subwoofers because they're so big. And so this guy is a LCR type. You could run these full 5-channel surround. So this is a actual for customer. This is for me to play with here. I haven't even seen this version of it yet. So these are passive radiators here because it's not ported. So it's about 5 inches deep. And you would run this in an LCR left, center, right configuration. You can run it as surround. So you could run this as a full 5-channel surround. And supposedly the output of this is very similar, not as much as one of the big giant speakers.
Right.
But these have the Jeff signature sound and output, but in a compact package. Now these are $2,500 a piece.
And so you mount one on each side of the screen?
Yep. So you mount them vertically on each side of the TV.
Does one do a
and
center
then one
as well?
Center.
So,
yep.
Okay.
And then 2 as your sides or some other combination.
Right.
They should be timbre matched to the other JTR speakers as well. So they should sound very similar. But this is getting, outputs that we're used to with JTR, but in a stacked. So what this is stacked Baltic birch.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So we have this heavy duty, it's just stacks of heavy duty ply or heavy duty wood. And this kind of industrial look is very, very simple. But, man, I love how this looks. I think it looks great. These are going to come in white, silver, and black. And then this one's the first.
Will you see the grain through the color? The black
that's
and
what
the
we're trying to
silver,
figure out. So the grain looks a little weird through
the stain.
Yeah, and so it looks a little. I thought it looked a little odd.
So I like what Ron says. Ron says it's a bar of sound, not a sound bar. So.
Yeah. These are just speakers. It's not a sound bar. Sound bars are for losers.
No, he said bar of sound.
Yeah, sound bars are for frickin' dorks.
Yeah, like me.
Yeah, sound bars are for the people who buy
people that don't
turtle
care.
wax. Yeah. The turtle wax of speakers. Yep. Yeah, man, this is exciting.
People who don't have wives as forgiving as yours. That's what I would say.
You just got to be a better salesman.
That's it. There you go.
That's interesting. So there's
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm excited I'm going to take this home and play with these.
So you just have one?
2.
Oh, you got 2.
These are the first 2. And then he's coming out with a 12-inch subwoofer, which I'm super excited about.
So where are you going to mount this?
I'm going to put it up in my theater for now.
Upstairs.
Upstairs. And so these aren't powered. These are powered, and then these work like a port.
Right.
So it's a passive radiator. So there's no connection.
Why wouldn't you hang it on your slat wall? You can't do that because you don't have a receiver down there.
Yeah.
Is that the issue?
I mean, I guess I could. I want to put it up.
Your
in my
screen's
home theater
back,
and see
right?
how they
Is your
sound.
screen back in the garage?
Yeah, it's sitting there. Yep. So I might just throw them up in the garage to try it out. But I want to put it in my home theater. I don't know what to do now because now I'm torn. I love the Perlissons in my family room, but these in my family room would be exciting.
You need to buy another house so you can build another home theater.
Yeah. Shoot.
All right. Well, sneak peek for everybody on the home theater front. So
this came from. I said to Jeff, I want speakers that can work in my living room. He said, well, I have a concept that I've been working on this concept for years. For the family room. And I said, well, let's frickin' do it. And so here it is. So yeah, these are $2,500 a piece.
Right. So it's $7,500.
Yeah, but
for the front side.
But I think we're talking like different level of theater. Like
Right.
this would compete with a $50,000 set of speakers. Right. Is the idea in a soundbar like enclosure. So that's what I can't imagine it's going to do that, but they Rusty and Michael saw them at Scott Newby's house when they had some prototypes there, and they said it was remarkable. Now it needs a subwoofer, but you got remarkable output from these things, and so I'm excited to test it out.
All right, cool. Well, we know what you'll be doing all weekend.
Yep, more to come.
There you go.
Anyway, yeah, I probably won't be messing with this weekend because I have the Evo to work on.
That's true.
Unless I can talk Chris into working on it by himself. We'll see. I think the only reason he's
let him drive it home.
Yeah. We can't get it out the door.
Oh, that's true. You got to take the doors off, right?
Anyway, thanks everybody. Yeah. Sorry about that little aside there on JTR, but this is freaking exciting, man. I'm excited for this. The JTR speakers are incredible.
All right. Well, thanks for letting me be the fill-in host.
You're fired.
Good. I'm glad.
Michael's back.
I like my Friday afternoons.
See you, everybody. Thanks for watching.